Davey. Awesome. Welcome to Davey's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult style flicks. And sadly, sometimes when you start reviewing an awesome cult flick, it has not only sequels, it's not only a series, where some of them are good, some of them are terrible. But if they're good enough, they get a terrible remake. This remake came out in 2010, and it was directed by Samuel Bayer, written by Wesley Strick and Eric Heisesser, of course based on characters by Wes Craven. Produced by Michael Bay, Andrew Form, and Brad Fuller. Made by New Line Cinema, Platinum Dunes, and distributed by Warner Brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, the movie that makes us go, why? The remake to A Nightmare on Elm Street. The movie opens with a very obvious dream sequence. Whereas in the previous movies, they would try to swerve us a little bit, we very quickly realized it was a dream. A guy named Dean is dreaming that he is in a diner.
I told you if you keep falling asleep, they're gonna kick you out of here.
Sorry.
His dream came true. Never happens to me. I dream I'm in a diner all the time. I even dream I got the meatloaf. By the way, his waitress is Nancy. The only character in this movie who has the same name as a character from the original. Sort of. In this, she's Nancy Holbrook. In the original, she was Nancy Thompson. So, totally different. Dean's girlfriend, Chris, shows up.
Dean, what's going on?
He was cast in a crappy remake. You should know how that feels. Before Katie Cassidy was Black Canary and Arrow, she was in 3 of them. This, the crappy remake to Black Christmas, and the crappy remake to When a Stranger Calls. Enough with the crappy remakes. Dean and Chris talk about how Dean can't sleep because he keeps having nightmares that just seem so real. So, Dean is Tina? While they're talking, Dean spills his coffee onto her. So that makes her have to leave and go get cleaned up. Good thing it wasn't hot coffee. Idiot! While Chris is gone, it's Freddy. In this one, he is played by Jackie Earle Haley. The only good thing about this remake. But I will say this one way that kind of stayed true to the original Freddy. When he kills people in public, he likes to make it look like he had nothing to do with it. Basically making most of the deaths look explainable. Most of them. No matter how they try to explain it, some deaths just aren't. Like smashing their face in a TV. Another way it stays true to it is at the funeral, Chris sees a creepy little girl. Although, the creepy little girl is her. But I also gotta say, this is a little disrespectful, Chris. Catching Z's at your boyfriend's funeral.
Come on, sweetie. It's over.
Yeah, sorry you had to sit through that boring funeral. It was a snooze fest. Don't worry, the next one we'll have more pizzazz. We'll have streamers and a clown and everything. Back at Nancy's, we get a CGI callback to the original movie, but this proves my point in that sometimes the practical effects are better looking than your stupid CGI crap. Michael Bay. Back over to Chris, she is weirded out by a picture she saw at Dean's funeral. A picture of her and Dean together at 5 years old.
I don't remember knowing Dean before high school.
Well, that's because you didn't really know each other. He said you had cooties and ran off. Chris's mother just brushes it off, but Chris wants answers. So she goes looking around in the attic, looking for pictures. Not only finding pictures, though, finding a sliced up dress. The same dress that she was wearing in that vision. But if you were wearing that dress and it was sliced like that, wouldn't you be like, oh, that goes with my scars? Just saying. But as it turns out...
Remember me?
She's dreaming. The next day, Chris is at school.
You really shouldn't fall asleep in class.
So in this one, Freddy's not there just to kill them, but to teach them manners first. Good for you, Freddy.
Are you okay, Miss Fowles?
No, she's not okay. She's in a 3rd crappy remake. Would you be okay? That night, Chris is home by herself. To explain this, we find out her mom is a flight attendant. So her ex-boyfriend, Jesse, stops by.
Jesus, Jesse!
She's there alone. You could have just used the door. Chris tells Jesse about the dreams that she's been having. A burnt man with
Me with these
knives
knives.
on his fingers.
Well, here's one way you can be different from the other movies. You can have it to where immediately they don't just brush this off as coincidence. People don't have the same dreams. Not exactly the same dreams. Unless they are like memories, but even still, not a very good chance.
It's just a dream, alright?
Never mind. They're not going to be a little bit original. But you see, if it was me and somebody was like, I had this dream about something and I had the exact same dream, I'd be freaked out. Even if it was a good dream. Like, heck, my brother and I, one time, we were freaked out because we had the exact same dream. He was like, I dreamed that I was being pulled up on stage, and I was like, by the Spice Girls? Jesse agrees to stay the night with her. So, Chris is Tina? I don't know. Let's just keep going. Well, a lot of good of him staying the night did. He flies her around the room. Kind of like Tina, but again, they use CGI instead of practical effects, so it doesn't look as good. And, you know, hey, I guess they're making Chris to be the Tina, even though Tina was the first to die, but... Here. And this is them trying to swerve us, because they were making us think that she was going to be the focal point of this movie. I say trying to swerve us, because most of us were watching it going like, we know she's going to die. Jesse runs out of the house, trips the alarm, because he knows he's about to be blamed for her death. So Jesse is Rob, I guess. Because like Rob, first person he goes to is Nancy.
What happened to you?
They put too much ketchup on his burger. What does it look like? Nancy's mom comes to the door, so Jesse leaves, just in time to get arrested by the cops. Jesse is taken to jail, and he tries his hardest not to fall asleep. But he does.
Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet.
Yeah, wait till he actually cuts you first, you pansy. Now you can scream. Bitch! Nancy is doing a little research trying to figure out what's going on at a library, and she's met by a boy that likes her named Quentin, who I honestly like to remember as Jared from Red State. I know this film did a lot better than Red State, but Red State was a lot better film. And he is offering her a legal pep pill. He gets it from a pharmacy, so it's legal, but it's basically speed. Because he too has been dreaming about Freddy. Even Nancy and Quentin are finding it weird that they're finding pictures of them together as kids, but they didn't think they knew each other until they were teens. And in case you're wondering, no, they don't explain how nobody remembers knowing each other when they were kids. Nancy goes home to her mother, Gwen, and asks if she knows why they wouldn't remember knowing each other. She says she doesn't know.
Do we ever know a guy named Freddy?
I don't think so.
Well, you've certainly got a poker face. So now her mother, Gwen, needs to go make a call.
Nancy's starting to remember.
Stop it! We already knew! 30 years ago! Nancy falls asleep and dreams that it is snowing in her room. At least I think it's a dream. I experienced that, but that's not a dream. That's just how cold my wife likes it in there. In August. But to confirm that this is a dream...
You smell different.
Falling asleep in the tub is dangerous. Why do you keep making all the other Nancy's mistakes? Quentin comes over so he and Nancy can do some more snooping through Gwen's stuff, and they find a class picture of all of them in preschool. And then Gwen catches them.
I didn't want you to remember. I wanted you to forget.
Trust me, I would have loved to forget this movie. Gwen tells them about how they were all in preschool together. And at that preschool, there was a gardener named Fred Krueger, who, as they all found out, was taking the kids down into the basement he lived in at the preschool, which I don't think a preschool would allow, but okay. And he was molesting them and torturing them there. But when the parents went to confront him about it, he left town. And the dreams they're all having, the exact same dreams they're all having, are just repressed memories. But why would he be burnt? Nancy knows, though, that there's more to this, because she's not an idiot. Memories don't kill people. At least not like this. Like, maybe they kill them in the sense of, like, they lose their will to live and slowly fade away, or maybe they kill themselves. Their chests don't explode, and they don't get a bunch of slices from their chest all the way down their stomach. But as Quentin and Nancy are getting ready to leave and go do some more sleuthing, Quentin's dad shows up. His dad is played by Clancy Brown, and just immediately demands that Quentin gets out of the car, gets in his car, and they're going to drive away. because they've got to keep this secret. Because they've been doing such a good job. Later, Quentin is at his swim team practice and he falls asleep in the pool. Because apparently in this one, Freddy can just make them fall asleep whenever he wants. Sure. Which is terrible, because not only is it bad to fall asleep in a pool, but do you really want to die in a Speedo? But because of this, Quentin is dreaming about what happened to Freddy.
You open this door, Kruger! What do you think I did? I didn't do it!
After they had trapped him,
This is for my son!
I'll give the remake this. In the original, they didn't show this part. Nancy's mom just told Nancy about it. But then again, what I gotta give the original is that the rest of the story was so compelling, they didn't need to put that in there. But also in the original, the reason the parents killed Freddy was because he had gotten away with the murdering of kids on a technicality. This one, they didn't even bother to call the police. They wanted to spare their kids having to go to trial.
Sure.
So they all just got together and killed him. Now Quentin wakes up.
Are you okay?
No, he's not okay. He's still in this crappy movie. Nancy has been doing research and looking up everybody from that school picture and realizing that all of them, even the ones that have moved away, are all dying. The only ones that are still alive are her and Quentin. So in this one, Freddy has been killing for a while. Not to mention he's not just going after Elm Street kids. It's preschool kids. So shouldn't have been a nightmare at the preschool. Whatever. I mean, they did show the Elm Street sign once, so, totally going with it. So she goes to tell Quentin what she's found, and they go to confront his father. His father tells them they did this to Freddy because of what they were told.
We were 5! We would have said anything!
So in this one, Freddy's supposed to be innocent? And we're supposed to believe that many children would just make it up? I can understand one, maybe even a few kids making up something like that, but an entire class?
Sure.
Nancy and Quentin go to a drugstore so that Quentin can get a refill on his pep pills, but he can't. He's out of refills, and they think he's a druggie. In the middle of the store, though, Nancy is falling in and out of sleep.
Wake up! You're bleeding.
They do this so that they can do this. They go to a hospital where they try to sedate Nancy. She freaks out and leaves, but while that's going on, Quentin steals a couple of vials of adrenaline. When he shows it to Nancy, Nancy says they shouldn't be taking adrenaline. That's dangerous.
You know what? That is kind of the least of my concerns right now.
It shouldn't be the least. Dude, in real life, adrenaline is not something you just nonchalantly insert into yourself. Like, you go a little bit over the doses that they recommend, that will kill you. They drive off to go find this preschool to see if they can get some more answers and start talking about having a date. Timing. Well, so much for that adrenaline. But luckily, they crashed near the preschool.
Alright, well, now that we're here, now what?
Now get to the end of the movie! Seriously, because watching this, I feel like I'm in a dream where I'm gonna die. But while going through this preschool, they go into Freddy's basement and find a little secret room that they thought was a cave. And they find memorabilia that Freddy had kept, including pictures of the things he had been doing to these children. Mostly Nancy, as that was his favorite. Because as it turns out, Freddy is not after them because they were lying.
He's after us because we told the truth.
So he's not innocent. They were trying to make us think he was going to be innocent. Which I remember watching that, and that was immediately irritating me. Like, you're going to try and make him out to be innocent, and I will give him that. I'm happy that they were like, no, he wasn't. Good. I don't want to sympathize with the villain. Somebody does these horrific things, I don't need to see their humane side. Disney. Since earlier Nancy had pulled a piece of Freddy's sweater with her from the dream world, she concludes that she can go into the dream, grab Freddy, and bring him into their world. So we're just going to go with the same exact conclusion that the other Nancy came with. Whatever. Maybe this will be over soon. Quentin is going to be there and wake her up if she starts to freak out, but he falls asleep himself. So good job, Quentin.
You can't save her!
Freddy goes to find Nancy.
What game do you want to play next?
Pick something appropriate like Sorry, Risk, Fireball Island. Nancy is denying he's real.
I'm real.
Partially. Some of you is CGI. Because Michael Bay is obsessed with that crap. Since Quentin is out, Nancy is stuck in Freddy's world.
And you can't have her leave.
And that's what it feels like. It's like an hour and 25 minutes into the movie, and it feels like it's been 8 to 10. Just let me go home. But finally, Quentin wakes up.
Wake up, Nancy! Wake up!
I don't like this. Sorry, that's the only thing that gets me through is thinking about something cool. But Quentin still has the adrenaline.
Great.
I'm pretty sure right there you would have just killed her. I mean, just saying, you really, really gotta know what you're doing with that stuff. So now Quentin and Freddy fight! Yeah, he still has those. But Nancy to the rescue! As she cuts off Freddy's glove hand. And not only his glove hand, but the killer blow. Okay, so the movie's over? Yes, that should do it. Okay, movie over, right?
Nightmare's over.
That's what I'm waiting for! But apparently they gotta do one more nod to the original, but do it the way Michael Bay wants to do it, where they take a really crappy effect that happened to Nancy's mom in the original movie and make it even worse than that blow-up doll. So there you have it, that's the 2010 remake to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Giving more credence to the statement that 99.9% of remakes suck. The movie obviously was a box office success, and it had a $35 million budget, the biggest budget that any Freddy movie ever got, and did $17.7 million on the box office. However, whereas a lot of people went to see it, so it made a lot of money, because of course it's Freddy Krueger, it's gonna make money, it was insanely bashed by both critics and audiences. And whereas normally I'm like, you know what, screw the critics, I gotta go with them this time. It was terrible. The only thing I can give this movie positive is Jackie Earle Haley. At the time, especially if there was anybody who was going to replace Robert Englund who had retired as Freddy, it was Jackie Earle Haley. He did a good job as Freddy. However, his look, didn't like it. The way they had to mix some of the practical makeup with the CGI, it made him look very cheesy. The burn scars and stuff from Freddy in the original, the Robert Englund one, made him look scary and menacing. This one made him look like somebody I would feel sorry for, tell my kids don't stare at. But one way it didn't have the same feel as Freddy is how this one, Michael Bay and Brad Fuller set out to want to make a straight up horror filming. No wisecracking Freddy anything. No humor, no sadistic statements like he used to make in the other movies. But that's what made us really love Freddy. Was that not only was he killing these kids, but he was enjoying it so much. This one just seemed like he was straight up for revenge. Like, obviously he liked what he was doing, but Robert Englund and Freddy really seemed to be enjoying it. Like we found in later movies when he had finally killed all the Elm Street kids. Well, I'm not done. I like this. This one, it seemed like once he was done killing all the preschool kids, would be like, okay, well, I got mine. See ya. Robert Englund endorsed Jackie Earle Haley at first, said it would have been a great thing, and did later go on to, like everyone else, say some nice things about his performance, but as far as the movie overall, didn't like it. Same with Wes Craven. He wasn't consulted at all for the remake, which of course that made him a little bit bitter, but of course when he watched the final product, he was even more bitter because he was like, this is garbage. The original Nancy Heather Langenkamp was offered a cameo in this, but she declined. Apparently if she would have taken it, she would have played a waitress. Because of the instant financial success, which of course it was going to, it was A Nightmare on Elm Street. People were going to go see it. They were immediately planning a sequel to this. But, despite the fact that it made money, its overwhelming criticism by, again, not just the critics, but the fans too, made them realize that it wasn't going to be a good idea. Because whereas this one made money, a sequel to this probably wouldn't have. Not to mention the backlash from this was so bad that Platinum Dunes, the company owned by Michael Bay and Brad Fuller, suffered so badly because of it that they actually weren't able to do any project for 2 years. The next thing that got released under Platinum Dunes was the first Purge movie in 2013. Good. Another cameo that was offered was John Saxon was offered to do a cameo, and he would have done it. but he had scheduling conflicts. Some interesting casting decisions. Originally, to play Clinton, they wanted Taylor Lautner. But apparently he was like, you know what, I've done enough bad horror movies. As far as for Freddy, before Jackie Earle Haley, they were considering Billy Bob Thornton and Steve Buscemi. I could see either one of those being Freddy, but I don't know if it would have been as good. I will give them that. At this point in time, they did need a new Freddy. Jackie Earle Haley did a good job. But I've talked about that before. One good actor doing a great performance can't necessarily make the entire movie good. The movie itself, it was just completely unoriginal, which is the problem with all remakes. You take a movie we really, really love, that was really original, really compelling, really intriguing, and you just try to do it again. So it's not going to have that same effect on us again. We saw it already. And not only did we see it, but we saw it with more thought and heart put into it. In this case, you basically just copied them. And the few things they did to be original, like trying to swerve us that Freddy might have been innocent, proves that just because something is original doesn't always make it good. Because I would say that. When they later revealed that no, he was innocent, I was watching this going, oh, good. Because I really thought this was going to be another new age thing where they try to get us to sympathize with the villain. I don't want to sympathize with the villain. I want the villain to be a villain. I want good guys to be good guys. So as far as recommending this movie, I really don't. Unless you just really want to say that you've seen all the Freddy movies, I don't recommend it. I recommend pass. If you saw the original, just leave it at that. Because ultimately this movie, I don't have a lot of good things to say about it. It's just another thing adding to the list of why I hate Michael Bay. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications for when I post videos, and leave a comment I can respond to in my next comment corner. Tell me what you thought of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Tell me if you're hoping they'll make another one, or if you're like me, hoping that they'll just leave it alone. Love you guys.